So I'm wetting out the area first with fresh mixed epoxy. I have a feeling I'm going to end up doing a lot of sanding here because that fabric's actually really thick, so this will be a test run. So, alright, so that's wetted out. Oops, that's wetted out there. Down right about there. Okay. I need more resin for sure. Dump it on there. So, using the technique where the large piece is going to go first. And then you see that divot, we're going to do the medium piece on this outer ring here, and then the smaller one in the middle. This cloth is very thick. When you see it, I'm going to end up doing a lot of sanding. We'll see. I might do another layup over the entire area, but I still need to build out the tape here. So I'm dabbing, I'm not brushing. I mean, you saw me brush a little bit, but it tends to pull fibers apart, so we dab and push the air out to the edges. Looks like my center is pretty, I'd say, airless. Nice and filled. Okay. I've wetted out the other side of this. This side is definitely needs some resin here. So just pushing out air bubbles, filling in the voids with resin. Okay, the last layer. And it's definitely, my backing plate has sunk down. So I'm gonna push the air bubbles out of here. I'm gonna go under there and push up my backing up a little bit and then come up here and see if we can fix this. because we're sunken way in there. Man. Yeah, let me go under there real quick. Much better. Yeah, the backing plate had sagged. Ooh, that's nice. Wow. I've got to put a piece of cardboard under there to kind of hold it up a little bit better. Now that looks much more appropriate. Man, I could have almost used one more layer. Maybe we'll see. Or maybe it's just because I have so much material on the outer edges that's going to have to be sanded. It's making the middle look lower. But I'm going to let it cure. And we'll see how I feel once it's dry. And it's actually a lot of fun, not going to lie. Very interesting. Very interesting for sure. So this is really interesting. So this is the first batch of epoxy I used to clear the pumps. And it's just waste because the ratios aren't right. You're just clearing the air out of the pumps. Well, so epoxy is a thermosetting plastic. So let's see if this screen will pick it up. Look at that. So, I mean, look at that. It's actually really hot. I don't know if it's going to accurately say it. So right now it's saying around 96. I think if I flip it on its side, it's already cured. Or it's solid anyway. Let's see if the bottom's any different. Yeah, I was going to say the bottom. Look, 140 I saw. 139, 142. Isn't that crazy? Wow. Okay, and then over here. Wow, that's really interesting. Well, that's where it was just sitting. But over here, there's some resin just sitting on this plastic. And this my floor camera is a little glitchy. And then this is left over here. You can see it's a little warm. Whoa, that's crazy. Let's go check out the laminate and see if it's warm. Pretty wild. Okay, so you can see the layup down in that left corner with the bilge. Now take a look at the FLIR camera. Look, it's glowing. 90 degrees. The thicker the epoxy, the hotter it gets. When you have a thin layer, it won't get as hot and it cures slower. Thick layers can become dangerous because they can start fires. It's super crazy. Yeah, there's the light up there, but isn't that crazy that the repair is giving off heat? I just think that's so wild. Yeah, it's a thermosetting plastic. Very cool. Pretty rad. All right, Project Seahorse, back to work.
Alright, so I tapered this one out a little bit further than the bilge area. I think it's going to make it easier, hopefully, to kind of hide the cloth. Cloth is pretty thick, so even I'm going to bring it out to its outer edge, but I'm going to sand it, and a lot of that's going to get sanded down. There's going to be some loss, and then I'm not sure if on the inside if I'm going to taper this as well, or just give it a light sanding and just build it up on the back. Let me know your thoughts. I think that's what I'm going to do with this. It's not like the inside's going to be viewable. Doesn't really need to be cosmetic. I think I'm just going to build it up. Maybe I'll taper it a little bit. I just hate because the woven cloth back there is in pretty good shape, and I hate to just to sand it down. I mean, I tapered the front, so we'll see when I get there. I'm going to go ahead and do a backing on here from the inside, and then do a layup over this. Should I do one here? I don't know. Okay, the mosquitoes are getting really bad. I'm gonna go in, take a little break. I'm not gonna touch this anymore. It's definitely gonna need some sanding when it's done, but I like how this has turned out better than the bilge. So I'll go over the bilge later. But I like how the surface has turned out. It's gonna need some sanding for sure. But I think this is much better. This stuff's so thick. You saw that I cut out another ply here, and it just would have been too much. I didn't need it. The material's already so thick, so this would have ended up just leading to that little one getting sanded down, you know. So, but let that cure. Then we'll pull off the backing. An important factor is have a good stable backing, because even with the other one, I had it taped up there, but as soon as I would lay up, the tape would kind of peel a little bit and sag, and then in here it'll sag down into the hole. So I had to go back in there and push it back up, and I just have my drill resting against the styrofoam. It's a piece of styrofoam with plastic over it, but I have my drill resting against it. But I have to come up with something a little more elegant maybe. But now that backing is nice and firm up against the back of the hole, I have a nice finish here. So, all right, I'm gonna call it. All right, so here in the bilge, the hole through the hull was my warm-up layup, if you will. My first one on the boat. It's not horrible, but I'm not really happy with how it turned out. I should have tapered it more, especially over here. You can see how high this is. This area is not too bad. In my backing, I had a piece of foam wrapped in plastic, and I had too much pressure. Well, at first, it sagged and it sank down, and then I went under there and I lifted it back up, and man, I should have let some pressure off because it's bulged up here. We'll see how it does when I sand. I still need to do a layup on the outside and the bottom of the hull. So it's definitely strong enough, it's just real bulky. I'm gonna have to sand it down. I might sand a lot of it down, because what I'm probably gonna end up doing is doing a large layup of glass here to extend from the bottom of the bilge, from the floor here. I'll do a fillet seam right here between the centerboard trunk and the bilge area, and then that way I can lay down a single sheet of glass or single cloth and just taper it right on up to reinforce the centerboard trunk and to reinforce this area, and I'll do that all around. That's what I'm contemplating here. The centerboard trunks, they're known to flex. There was some putty and stuff built up around here. The boat's a 1974. I'm sure there's been some flexing over time. No obvious cracking or anything that has happened on at least a couple people's boats on the forums, but I'm definitely going to reinforce this area. So, all in all, not terrible with this repair, but I could have done better. So I'm not super stoked on it, but it is functional. So, but we'll see. And now the transom, the outside's been done, and I'm happy with that, with how that turned out. Basically, with how this turned out, I realized this fabric is so thick I need to taper it out more. And so I did this one and the transom. Anyway, the transom turned out better, so I'm gonna call it for now. But that's here soon. I'll get to sanding the outside of this and do the layup on the other side as well as the inside of the transom, and I'll record that, do that in the video. Might be a separate video. God, mosquitoes are horrible today. Really, really bad. All right, I'm done. All right, real quick, this is so cool. Isn't that crazy? That's so wild. Let's see. Looks like about 87 in the center. Yeah, 87. Compare that to the rest of the surface. That's 76. Ooh, 90. There we go. We got 90 right in there. Thermosetting plastic. That's what epoxy is. That's so wild to me. That's just crazy.